Finally, they left you to die. What will you do, Exile?
I mean, nobody's gotta know. But, it's gotta be fast. Understood? Get away. Oh, hi Mark. What am I doing?
I did not touch him. I did not.
But never mind that. I need to warn you. There is a curse in Conan Exiles. No, seriously, I'm not superstitious, but Conan Exiles is cursed. And before you start to Conan explain me, no, I'm not talking about the in-game curse or the bracelet, it's something much worse. I'm talking about the Conan Exiles speedrun leaderboard, because every single person who has tried to seriously speedrun this game eventually experiences the same symptoms. Anger, more anger, bargaining, revisiting their life choices, even more anger, and eventually acceptance. The acceptance that maybe Funcom simply hates you personally. And today I'm gonna show you exactly how the curse works. So just to set up the stage, let's start with the general aim of a speedrun. Speedrunning a game means beating the game as fast as you can. But what does beating the game mean in Conan Exiles? Well, the title of the game kinda gives away part of the reason. You see, the whole premise is that you're being exiled to an unknown land due to you being a bad person or something. You're being then saved by Conan, but then you're still stranded in the exiled lands. So if you play the game normally, you may or may not be receptive enough to find out the lore from items and whatnot, and you can all actually find out that you can escape the exile lands. You see, the way you're bound to the exile lands is this magic bracelet you're punished to wear, and this magic bracelet cannot be removed for some reason. If you do, you just respawn, and you're kind of trapped in this exile land. So to be able to escape the exile lands, you need a shopping list that consists of 6 artifacts. Right, so to escape the exile lands, we need 6 artifacts. Think about it like the fantasy equivalent of applying for a mortgage. The first artifact is the Heart of the Sands, which is crafted from 3 stone fragments. They are called scourge stones. These can be collected from 3 separate bosses. One is guarded by a crocodile, one by a pirate captain, and one by the Reaper Queen. We'll just come back to why one of those is responsible for all my emotional damage. Next is the Witch Queen mask, which is worn by the Witch Queen. I know, Conan Exiles occasionally chooses clarity over creativity, and honestly, I respect that. Next, there's the Star of the Champion, a fancy name for loot stolen from an undead dragon, which sounds impressive until you realize he's not even the scariest thing in that hole. Next, it's the Diadem of the Giant Kings, the dude sentenced to Horny jail. Next is the Shining Trapezohedron, a name that suggests advanced mathematics, and the owner is called the Degenerate. And finally, the Tears of Two Races. These are obtained from the King's Scourge, a giant angry man that has unresolved zoning issues. Right, so once we collect all of these items, we combine them into the keystone. We use the keystone, remove the bracelet, leave the exile lands. Simple. Right? At least on paper, it is. Now, every major respectable game has a speedrun community, and the community puts in the elbow grease in terms of strategy and route optimization.
Because what's best in life than to crush your PB, see your splits driven before you, and hear the lamentation of other runners.
Also spreadsheets. Lots of spreadsheets. Right, so the whole shopping list stays the same in all patches, but the way you tackle every boss fight strongly depends on the weapon you're able to fight with. And the weapon you're able to fight with strongly depends on which patch you are on. So in earlier patches, you would be able to get a legendary weapon fairly easy by defeating one of the closest world bosses to get a skeleton key, and then get the weapon from his chest. But Unfuncom made it so legendary chests are now at the end of dungeons, which takes too much time to do. Then they added sorcery and made available purchasing weapons via skull trading. which got removed in the next patch. Then they added the Almeria fortress that would have a guaranteed spawn of a legendary katana, which got removed in the next patch. And then they ported their game into Unreal Engine 5 and gave us Conan Exiles Enhanced, which has all the mobs angrier, tracking is insane, which is fantastic news for everyone except speedrunners. Right, so enough rumbling about patches and whatnot. In the current version of the game, in Enhanced, you can port between maps, which means that you could potentially get a weapon from Siptha, which is what I did. I found that Arnos Prospect is very close to the north spawn point and that it has an RNG spawn for a hardened steel spear, albeit not a very good weapon, not on par with a legendary one, but a weapon nonetheless. And with this weapon I have crafted my route. First of all, make sure you record the mods tab and advanced settings. Then, spawn on Exile lands, remove the bracelet, spawn on the northwest bank of Siptha. Start running, baby. Run to Arnos Prospect, check if the spear is there, if not, save quit, reload the game, do this max 3 times, then reset. And thus begins the curse, not with the difficult boss, with repeatedly closing and reopening the game, hoping the stick appears. Folks, this is probably a good time to explain how save quitting works in this game. This is a live service piece of where single player mode is not local. Hey, imagine explaining this sentence to someone in 2005. What this means is, exiting the game is not instant, nor entering it back again. Nevertheless, doing this saves a lot more time than removing the bracelet and spawning back in the game. Back to the game. Try to loot as many boxes and chests on your path. Arnos Prospect can provide you with multiple bedrolls and if you're lucky enough, with a bed. After getting the spear, immediately remove bracelet. Spawn in the desert, but do it twice. Why? Because the first time you will be respawning, you will be on the outer left side of the desert and you need to get to the center to be able to go to Galaman's tomb, where you will place a tactical bedroll. Then proceed to cheese the croc and as many of his roommates in the process. Do it from this cheesing spot. Then respawn to bedroll. Run through here and pick some aloe on your way. You'll thank me later. Then continue to get to the potential spawn of the pirate captain. But first, set up a bed here. You'll thank me later. Arriving at Deck Swat retreat, you'll need to check if he is here in these 3 spots. Then get in position to save the biscuit. Right, absolutely get on this rock, otherwise his pirate friends will take advantage of you. But, Papa, why are we save quitting? Well, remember the pirate captain, the one carrying 1/3 of our magical bracelet removal kit? Here's the fun part, he's not a guaranteed spawn. No, not the arena champion, not the giant kings, not the undead dragons. This one random pirate captain is the true final boss of this category. So, if he's not there, we save quit. Check again, save quit. Check again, and eventually begin questioning our life choices, but we save quit. This one pirate captain is responsible for the largest part of the suffering in this category. Because as much as I want it not to be, it is. A whole 15 to 20 minutes goes to waste if you don't get the spawn. So, yeah. If you're lucky and get it the first check or second, you're golden. If not, welcome to the desktop. Population, you. But if you do, move your ass to the Reaper Queen. Trail through the jungle, forest and try to avoid as much as possible the disgusting mobs along the way. Once in the passage, hug left and then go down in the belly of the beast. Run past the spiders and get in position to cheese. Be careful, the Reaper Queen is very iffy and will lose aggro if you're not hitting her, but will end your speedrun career if you get too close. Once done, hit her with your pick and respawn back to the bed. Next, pick up your bed and swim across the river and introduce your spear to as many birds as possible across this path until you reach level 15. Also, don't forget to place your bed that we removed right here. Level 15 will be very crucial for this strat because you can spend all points in strength to get to the Berserker perk. Once at the Witch Queen's palace, wait for the first golem to be brought to life, then bait his lunging attack and wail at his right foot until he crumbles. For the second golem, you have to wait about 30 to 40 seconds, and this is a very good time to go to the bathroom and take a quick pee-pee. And this is not a joke, this is route optimization. When the golem is back to life and you're back from the toilet, repeat the same bait and right foot strat. Alright, with the two golems out of the picture, it's time for the witch. Keep her stun locked and get away from her once finishing a combo. Loot her once she's mopping the floor and respawn to bed. Pick up the bed and head straight to the sand temple. At the temple, just trade the stones for the heart of the sand and respawn to bedroll. From here, run as fast as you can to the sinkhole. Place a tactical bedroll here and perform some jukes on these demonic dogs and climb down the dragon's arena. If you're not in berserker range, take a few hits from this skeleton. Then, draw aggro from the undead dragon and climb up this ledge, because the main weakness of this dragon is level geometry. This bad boy with over 8000 health can easily one-shot you, so be careful. Up on the ledge, try to align the dragon underneath you and either be cautious and do light attacks and take pauses to regain stamina, or be mad and perform some dragon riding techniques that would make the nearest Targaryen wet, respectfully. Okay, after the dragon loses the fight against the level geometry, make sure you use the pick on him a few times and make sure you get at least one demon blood. He can drop a range of improved hardened steel weapons, however the best you could get are the heavy axe or the heavy hammer. And that's how the curse returns, folks, because the dragon can drop several weapons. Some are best in slot, and some are about as useful as motivational quotes, generally speaking. With the dragon dead and the star of the champ in your inventory, respawn to bedroll above and continue to the chaos mouth along this path where you will place a bed. Then head towards the icy area and place another tactical bedroll, and then move towards the mounds of the dead. At the mounds, incite the Cimmerian fighter to violence, but please make sure to keep him stun locked. You are checking this guy for his precious loot, specifically a heavy axe or any piece of armor he could drop. We are effectively mugging random Cimmerians for clothing, which sounds less heroic when you say it out loud. And I'm not even gonna mention all the drops are RNG. I'm not even gonna mention the curse again. No. Anyway, okay, from here, run along to the Barrow King cave. Remember, you need demon blood to be able to enter his bachelor pad. Once in, introduce him to your weapon arsenal or just cheese him, but beware that he will lose aggro pretty easy and F up your timing. I much rather prefer to tank as he's not hitting that hard, and just have a few extra potion on me just for that. Once he's dead, loot and respawn to bedroll. Next segment involves running around the mountain pass that will take us to the volcano. But as we touched on this before, we need ice, baby, which means we need a pick to harvest some. Ice you get from these nodes, then run to the mountain pass, cross it, and hope you don't get spawned under mesh when doing it. Funcom, please patch this bug. Yeah, at this point I genuinely can't tell if I'm routing the game or filling bug reports. Nevertheless, once on the other side, run carefully downwards and squeeze your butt cheeks for this entry into the dungeon because, man, these guys are OP ASF. They will not only give you an arrow to the knee, they will also give you a facial? Damn, who writes this stuff? After successfully entering the dungeon, make sure you pop another ice. Then round downhill to approach the boss arena. My routing involves sliding downwards until I reach this part, then I climb these two ledges and head upward. Beware, there is a motherfucking snake that will most time want some of your juicy ass. Other times he's just visiting his cousin at the sinkhole, I guess. Once you get into the boss arena, prepare to get ganked. The route now reaches its technical peak, which is running in circles and also screaming. This is why we were looking for a hard-hitting weapon, a heavy axe or a heavy hammer, because these goats die in one hit if you get one. If you don't get one, then you need to Benny Hill these fuckers to the right side of the arena and cheese them. Annoying, I know, but somewhat efficient. Once you're at the 4th wave, the berry on the degen is holding up falls flaccid, like his dead body, and you can just loot him and head to the legendary chest behind his throne. May Chrome bless ye with the legendary weapon. Never mind. At this point, getting a bad RNG weapon only hints at the fact that the curse has become self-aware. Once you looted the weapon from the chest, immediately respawn to the bedroll, run downhill and to the right and do some temple climbing that would make the storer boys proud of you. And then enter the dungeon. After loading in, head left, then right, then circle back, and I'll make another video to guide you through this fucking maze. But just go to the boss room and head left to be able to de-aggro these mini mobs. Make sure you kill the one on the left and keep the fight on the left side essentially, so you don't aggro the right one. Alright, the fight against the King Scourge himself is one to practice a lot, because he's quite fast in reactions and will be able to bring you down in one hit, especially if you're mad enough to go for the Berserker or even Mad Berserker perk. You do you, bro, but beware he's tricky, and since the last patch in Enhanced has, like most bosses, somehow discovered modern tracking technology, and unlike most bosses in Conan Exiles Enhanced, he actually knows how to use it. If you are my hero and kill him, make sure to stick your pick inside him and make him cry the tears of 2 races. Congratulations, you made me cry. Then respawn to bed. Quickly climb your way up to the Chaos Mouth Temple, head right into the altar, and give all your hard-earned antique items in order to create a keystone. Rush to use it, and scene. Unfortunately, escaping the Exile land is considerably easier than escaping the curse. So, after all that, was I right? Is Conan Exiles cursed? Honestly, yeah. And not because of the bracelet, not because of the lore, not because Funcom somehow accidentally summoned an ancient evil during development, but because I genuinely don't think this speedrun is solved. I think there are better routes, better strategies, better weapon choices, better ways to abuse the game, more than anything that I've shown in this video. And that's the curse, because once you start believing that, you can't stop trying to find them. Which brings me to the real reason this video exists. I need more people to speedrun Conan Exiles, because I can't, or at least I can't solve it alone. Somebody out there is going to find a better route that doesn't involve DLC or anything. Somebody is going to destroy any times, record times, my times. Somebody is going to break this category open, gape it even. And honestly, I hope they do. Because if Conan Exiles is ever going to be solved, it's going to take more than one moron willingly subjecting themselves to this fever dream of a game. That sentence was hard for me. So consider this your invitation. Or your warning. The curse is now yours. Good luck. You're gonna need it. Maybe.